Hi friends, welcome to a new video. Today I'm finally doing something I've been wanting to share for a while. A little studio tour of my space. As you will see, it's not perfect. There are irregular shapes, mismatched storage, things tucked into corners, but somehow it works for me. So today I'll walk you through how I store my art supplies, how I organize or not, and honestly, how this slightly chaotic space helps me create. Let's start with something I reach for all the time, my paper storage. Until recently, these were in flat drawer, and it was so difficult to take something out. But now this is where I keep all my sketchbooks of all sizes, watercolor pads, pastel paper and mats, loose sheets, everything. And the reason I love this setup is because it's open. I can see everything at a glance. There's no digging through drawers, trying to find that one sketchbook and then struggling to put it back. It's one of the small changes that makes a big difference, because when something is easy to reach, you actually use it more. Next up, this organizer. I use this mainly for my oil pastels. In the top drawer, I've got my Mom Art series, both the natural and vibrant sets. The second drawer has other brands including Sennelier that I got more recently. And I've actually kept them in their original foam mold trays, which fit really nicely into these drawers. Just perfect. The bottom one is a bit deeper, so I keep some extra white oil pastels in this little tin box and some postcard-sized watercolor cards that I also use for this medium. Small thing, but keeping a tissue box right on top, it just makes working with oil pastels so much easier. Now this is my Alex drawer unit, and I don't think I can imagine my studio without it anymore. It packs in a lot. The top drawer. This is where all my watercolor setup is stored. My ceramic palettes, mixing trays, water bowls, even things like chopstick rests, which I use as brush rests. There's washi tape, a spray bottle, some cloth for wiping brushes, and one thing I really love. I keep these little scrap pieces of watercolor paper. They're just cut-offs from older sheets because I use them as quick swatch cards whenever I want to test a color in any medium. The next drawer is all my watercolors. These different sized metal palettes are my curated watercolor sets, like an extended primary palette and some limited color palettes. I also have some Kuretake paints and granulated palettes here. My watercolor tubes are stored in a simple transparent container. I don't really organize them by color or brand because I already have my main palettes set up the way I like. I also keep my gouache here. I don't use them much, but I know where to reach for if I need them. I keep water-soluble wax crayons in my third drawer. It has the Neocolor 2 sets, the warm, cool and the primary palettes that I own, along with the Mungyo water-soluble crayons. I also keep my travel kits here, little cases that I can quickly grab and fill when I want to sketch outdoors or I'm traveling. The lower drawers are more for things I don't use as often. Some water-soluble wax pencils that honestly aren't great quality, sponge tip applicators and blenders for soft pastels, older color pencils, some of which I'm planning to donate. I love the allure of soft pastels, but somehow I find it difficult to commit to this format because of all the dust. I also keep my acrylic paint markers here. I do like them, especially for sketching under oil paintings. Some more washi tape and some of these empty tin boxes, the contents of which are out on my table. Then there are these larger drawers, which are more like utility storage. Extra tins, packing materials, masking fluid, ribbons, twine, even a hairdryer, which I almost never use for watercolor. And at the bottom are all my large format or heavy papers, like large A3 watercolor sheets, handmade paper, tracing paper, and also a few, let's call them regret purchases that didn't quite suit my style. Now coming to this cabinet. This is where I keep all my oil and acrylic painting supplies. On the top shelf, I've got my glass palette. And this little repurposed biscuit tin, which holds all my essentials. Solvents, mediums, brush cleaners, everything I need within reach and easily portable to where I'm painting when using an easel. I've separated my oil paints into student grade and professional oils, which helps depending on the kind of work I'm doing. This larger container stores my bigger oil paint tubes, sorted by color. I also keep pre-cut canvas sheets here, which I use for mini oil paintings, both commissions as well as personal projects. There are also paper palettes and canvas pads for different requirements and projects. I do have acrylic paints stored here too, though I haven't used them in a long time. Acrylics were actually the first medium I started with, but over time, I've just gravitated more towards others. And honestly, it feels like a lifetime isn't enough to explore even a few mediums properly. The bottom section is all tools and other necessities. Fixatives, gesso, varnishes, paint scrapers, paint wringer, palette knives, masking tape, and more. Basically everything that supports the actual painting process. And also a few unfinished works, which I like to leave alone sometimes and come back to later. The large and heavy Himi gouache set unfortunately found its way to the bottom of this shelf as I don't use it so much. There are also these smaller drawers on the side. One has my laminating machine for certificates, my camera equipment, and more. And the one below I hadn't opened in a long time, and I found these stencil brushes in there. So now I'm kind of tempted to try an acrylic project again. For brushes, I keep them out in the open. My oil brushes, long and short handle ones, are in repurposed glass bottles. And extra or new watercolor and acrylic brushes are in these mugs. I bring this little clay pot holder carrying my Camlin color pencils down to my desk every time I want to use them. On my desk, I keep the watercolor brushes that I use most often, so they are always within reach. I also have some repurposed mugs which I use to store soft pastel pencils that I'm increasingly adding to my work, some essential stationery like micron tip pens, pencils for sketching, and other items. Now for artwork or paintings that are finished, where do I store them? Smaller artworks go into this repurposed box. These are mostly mini pieces, like the Neocolor 2 ones that I've been enjoying a lot of late. It also has some mini oil pastel and soft pastel artworks stored in protective sleeves so they don't smudge. Slightly larger works including watercolors are stored separately, either in a cupboard or in the bottom of this trolley in the storage bin. And bigger canvases? They are everywhere. Stacked in corners, on cabinets, leaning against walls, on top of cupboards, basically wherever I can find space. This red cupboard is a nightmare, but holds my prints, some original oils, and even some unopened art supplies that I'm saving for later. And I think that's really what the space is about. It's not perfect, far from minimal, and it's definitely not aesthetic all the time. But it's mine. It holds everything I'm experimenting with and everything I've learned, and even the things that didn't quite work out. I hope to keep showing up here, so I'll just pick up a sketchbook, grab my palette, and get back to the desk. Because at the end of the day, the space only comes alive when I use it. If you enjoy this little tool, do give it a like and let me know in the comments if you have any useful tips for organizing art supplies. And I'll see you in the next one.